Hey garden friends, let's pot up some germinated delphinium seeds. I did this in the coffee filters just like I did the gomphrena. These were old seeds, so I didn't have any high hopes for them germinating at all. And I see some green in there. So I'm a little past due to getting them potted. You know, the last couple of weeks have been traumatic here, so I've gotten behind on some things and I wasn't keeping a close eye on these. So they're a little further along than I would have liked them to be at this stage. But we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about a few things I needed to correct myself on that I have said in videos, and we'll take it from there. So let's get rolling on today's video. Yeah, I started these right after I had done the gomphrena video. That was 2-3 weeks ago. Let me show you what they look like right now. So I'm gonna go get, I'm gonna just show you what the gomphrena, I potted them up yesterday. I made a video while I was potting them up. Totally didn't turn out. So let me do that. I'm gonna show you what they look like. And also an update on the clematis. Both the clematis I potted, the one I got from Walmart and the one I got from Brushwood Nurseries, and see how they're going, as well as, was there one other thing? If I see it, I will let you know. Okay, let me take you along to see the update of the plants I started. First of all, let us start with the clematis. Here is the one I got from Walmart that I had my sister pick up for me. It's coming along just fine. It's been out here in the greenhouse. Now over here on the ground is where I have the other one that I got from Brushwood Nurseries. So that one's looking pretty nice too. Coming along just fine. These are the dahlias I had outside. And like this one right here is one of them that the tree fell on. It was upside down out there, but I salvaged it. So we'll see how that goes. Now let's go see the gomphrena. Now this is the mix, this whole tray. Some of them were bigger than others. Some are struggling. I got fungus gnats very badly. I did treat this as I transplanted with the Systemica and some neem oil fluid, and it seems to have dampened down or killed off the fungus gnats. Also, oh, not that one. That one's some lettuce. Over here, these are the lavender. And yeah, I just got transplanted yesterday, so they're got a little bit of transplant shock. I treated them with the organic Rev, which helps with the root establishment a little bit quicker, and so they're coming along. Also, these had been in my house, so they spent their first very cold night out here in the greenhouse, so that could be, you know, one of the reasons they're looking a little sadder. They're getting acclimated to the cold nights. Okay, here's the other update. Now, I did this tray with half of it being treated with the Dakota peat and half without. Now, this half over here is with the Dakota peat. You can see how much bigger the geraniums are, and even 2 of the geraniums didn't even germinate in the regular. So who knows what's going on there. And then this side is the Nicotiana. See how much bigger the Nicotiana is than this side? So that's the Dakota peat. So I think that's something I'm going to continue using to help with my plants to get started. This one barely had 1 germinate, but it could have been how many seeds I put in there. So I know I wasn't too careful. I just kind of did it. Now this over here is some lettuce I started, which I didn't do that on camera. That's Little Jim, I think that's called. So yeah, that's the updates on those items. Now, I want to get started on potting up these little delphinium seeds. Now, I'm just going to put them in a 4-inch pot. I'm not going to be too precious about it because, yeah, these were totally unexpected as far as germinating. The little 4-inch pot is what I have. I need to get some more of these cleaned up, so I have the smaller pots to get going because they take up less space, but they do have good root space. These ones I got from Bootstrap Farmer. A lot of times I just use recycled, but I bought those to test them out to see how I like them. I do like them. Okay, now I have some of my potting soil to put the seeds in this container. Let me see, can you see? Let me point you down just a little bit. Is that gonna work? I might have to move you back. Yeah, so I sieve my potting soil because the potting soil that I like to use, let me get my head unchopped off. There. The potting soil I like to use does have a lot of wood bits in it. So I just kind of sieve that out to make it a little bit finer. I don't have to do this, but I do it for the hay of it. Now it also has some big old perlite pieces in it. That I don't mind, but yeah. I add this to my compost bin. I have a pail underneath my table that I just put it in until then. Okay, so I'll look at it, see if I need some more perlite. I think this is loose enough because the wood bits do act as some, like the perlite, as far as enhancing. You know what? I do want some more perlite. Perlite also adds oxygen. I'm sorry about my floor creeping. Okay. It doesn't add oxygen, it holds oxygen. So that's one thing that if plants get overwatered, what it is they're suffocating because the oxygen is actually choked out by the water. So yeah, let's get this all on here, make sure my microphone's in the right spot. Notice I went back to my older type microphone. I had to rebuy it. This is the one that got stolen when our truck was broken into last summer. I had replaced it with the other one that I made. I kept goofing up with the other one. I thought I would like it and I don't, so I just bought another one of these. Okay, now, last time I was telling you, or one of the times frequently, about this Dakota peat soil and plant enhancer. Now I had a question if this was, someone said, oh, is it a peat moss enhancer? The peat in this is made from sedges and whatever from an ancient lake bed. This is not the same as the sphagnum peat moss. So this one, it leads to healthier plants, enhanced colors, better water retention, improved nutrient uptake. So it's highly concentrated organics for healthy plants, and it is OMRI listed. So I'm just going to put some of it in here. You know me, I never measure, but I just add it. I want it to enhance the potting soil. And so we will get the best bang for our buck with these. Now I could have put these in a smaller tray, like one of these 6-packs, and you know what, maybe I will. Just because, you know, starting out in smaller, shallower trays for something like this helps with not overwatering and keeping them too moist. That's something I learned, that I'd pass it on. And yeah, so maybe I'll do that. I'll go ahead. I had this one here. This is recycled. I didn't buy this. It was from a 6-pack I got of plants. And I fill it with my soil. So there we go. Now I'm going to show you the ones. Let's see. There's Dusky Maids, and then the other one was the Sweethearts. The Sweethearts are shorter growing, like dwarf. And the Dusky Maidens are like a dusky pink shades, and I have one out in the back. So as I'm opening this up, I'm going to show you, let me see if I can get, there's a button up here. Background defocus. Okay, so hopefully, there we go, it went. So you see the green there? That is the germinated Delphinium. So, yeah, I need to very carefully pull these up so that I don't tear any of the roots. And that's why I like using the coffee filters, because the roots don't intertwine with it as easily as they do in a paper towel. So I'm just going to set it on the surface of the soil. Let me see if I can get this up here. I'm just going to set it. Uh-oh, I dropped it. Oh no. Where did it go? Well, there you go. I get talking. Okay. So here's one. Just going to set it on the surface. And I'm going to press it in very gently so that the roots aren't damaged. I've got to watch myself and make sure I'm in the camera. So, yeah. Where that other one went, I don't know. Maybe it dropped up back on here onto this paper. Yes, that's what I oh, there it is right there. Okay, I didn't lose it. It did drop. So here's this one. And I'm just going to set it on top, gently press it into the soil, the root, and leave the green on top. Here's the other one. Here it is. I actually saved it. Yay. Press gently. It doesn't have to go very deep. Those roots will start going down. Yeah, I thankfully got more to germinate than I anticipated. And I'm just making sure it's separating the root from the stem. I'm not separating, I mean, you know, it was folded up is what I meant. So hopefully this will take off. I'm going to go ahead and leave them out here in the greenhouse, even though we get very dark nights. The days have been warming up. In fact, it gets quite toasty in here during the day. My vents are not set up yet. I want the automatic openers. They're filled with wax, and as it warms up, they open, and then it'll open up the vents. They're like a hinge. Okay, this looks like I have this one last one. It looks so teeny tiny. I'm not sure what it will do. So let's put that one right there. Very gently put it in. All the rest of these, they don't look like they're going to do anything, but that's okay. I got 5 when I thought I would get none. So I am so pleased with that. Okay, all right, so the rest of these, that one looked like it tried, but it kind of failed. All right, this can be thrown away. Now, those were the Delphiniums. It used to be called Dowdswell Delphiniums, and now that's changed to New Zealand Delphiniums. Someone bought them out. And yeah, so that was that. Let me see if any of the Sweetheart ones, it looks like 1 or 2 of them did. Now, these were over a year old. I got these last spring, and they've been in the refrigerator. I did refrigerate them, but Delphinium seeds, they prefer to be fresh when you try to germinate them. So I didn't have high hopes. And in fact, it did take them a little while. When it took them so long, I thought, they're not going to do it. But I was wrong. Okay, let's see. It looks like just 1 germinated. So, and it doesn't look too healthy. So let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like much. Looks like it's kind of wimpy. But I will put it here, in here. It doesn't matter that it's mixed in. Kind of getting it off my finger is tough. I think I need to get my other finger in there. All right. So what I'm going to do is water these all in with some organic Rev, which is a root stimulant. And that should help to get them going well. So let me get that mixed up. And I don't know, this is pretty moist enough. Let me do that. All right, I'm going to go put them in this tray over here, and they can absorb from the bottom up. I had to move my camera out of the sunlight because it would start to overheat. So that's why that's that. Okay, over here is a tray. It has some organic Rev in it, in the water. That's what this is, organic Rev. So let's see, can you see that? Anyways, yeah, organic growth stimulant. It is not a fertilizer, but it does help with root development. Gets the microbes talking to the roots in the soil, all that kind of fun stuff. So I wanted to talk about something that a viewer brought to my attention. And let me see if I can do something without the backlight. More better. A viewer brought this to my attention when I was saying that the dyed mulches were toxic. And they said, no, they're not. They're vegetable-based dyes. So I went and looked it up. It has been a long time since I researched it. And so I thought, okay, they could be right. You know, the garden industry changes all the time. So I went and researched it, and true, the dyes, like the red and the brown, are like an oxide or some kind of vegetable dye. And then the black is a carbon. But another horticulturist said that carbon black is derived from burning petroleum products. So that could be the dye they're using for that. Now, the other issue with dyed mulches is some of them are made from recycled construction debris. And in that construction debris could be carcinogens, different things you don't want in your soil. The dyeing masks the different types of woods, etc. Now, not all dyed mulches are from that type of debris. There is a council, mulch council. I'll put a picture of the stamp that is on a bag of mulch that they certify that that particular brand does not use the recycled lumber. So that would assure you that that dyed mulch isn't made from things that have chemicals in it. So that's a correction on me, because I had said before that dyed mulches were toxic or had toxins in them. They can, but it doesn't mean all do. So the other thing with that was one horticulturist study said that the dyed mulches break down much slower than the natural mulches. So that could be a plus. You're not having to replace it as soon. It could be a minus because it's not feeding your soil like a natural or undyed mulch, not as quickly. So, and that the, the fungi and whatever that's all important in there in treating your soil is not as prevalent in dyed mulches. So there's that. That's the one correction. So while we're out here is another update. I want to show you. I have one of my Tequila Supreme roses that was eaten to a nub by gophers while under the snow. Look at that. Not even, nothing left. Now, I have salvaged roses like this, eaten to a nub, in the past. I'm soaking it in the organic rev to help stimulate root growth, hydrate the canes. Most of them, they were not, I mean, you can see the leaf is a little bit depleted of moisture, but I'm going to get this potted up today. I let it soak overnight. I put it out here, and yeah, so it's getting a good soak before I put it in a pot to let it regrow roots. So that was another disappointment. Oh, but I do have an update on my tree roses. I said that I thought a couple of them snapped off. They all just bent. There's one that bent really far, and at the base of it, the trunk is splitting a little bit, but that can be taped up very easy with tree tape. And I think all of my tree roses made it, and I am so pleased. And yeah, it's wonderful. The only thing it looks like I lost was a couple of raised beds, the metal beds, and then my maple, my Japanese maple, my Crimson Queen. So I will splurge on one of those, come up soon. I know Green Acres a lot of times have sales on them, and I'll pick it up when they have a sale, or a local nursery just half an hour away from me. A lot of times we'll get the smaller size in, and they have pretty decent prices. So I have that. So I had to wait and come back. It got too hot in here. My camera kept overheating and shutting off. But that's okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pot up the rose that I showed you. Let me go grab it. That got eaten to a nub by gophers. And so now I'm going to pot it up after soaking it in the organic rev. Get some rooting hormone here. I have two of them. One's stronger than the other. I can't seem to find my other one, but I'm not exactly organized yet in here. It's okay, this one will work. So I am going to put some out in here, then I'll just dump it on it, and we will call it good. First, I'm going to put some potting soil into my container here. Now this is, let me see if I can lift it for you. This is the Miracle Grow Organic Choice Moisture Control Potting Mix. Someone asked me to report in after using it for a bit what I thought of it. And honestly, I'm not a big fan. I don't like the amount of coconut coir in it. There is some big wood chunks, which they're easily sifted out, but I'm not a big fan of the texture. As far as it working, I've been using it. I've been getting results. It's just not my favorite. Would I use it in a pinch? Yes. If that's the only potting soil I could get. It is organic, which I do prefer. And yeah, so there is that. What do I have against it? I couldn't say for sure. I think mostly the amount of coconut coir that's in it. As I said, I don't care for coconut coir or peat moss, sphagnum peat moss. Now, someone asked me what the difference was in this and the sphagnum. This is made differently. It's like from sedges and reeds and what have you. It's not out of Canada, so yeah, it just works differently, and it's a different texture. So there's that. And if you like this, go ahead and tell me what you like about it. This has compost in it. I guess I am I like my homemade potting soil the best, and I just haven't done that this year. And the other ones I've gotten, like the Edna's Best potting soil, I've sifted out some of the extra wood pieces. I like that one better than I do the Miracle Grow. I don't use regular traditional Miracle Grow because I don't like synthetics added to my garden, and it has synthetic fertilizer in it. I know a lot of other people do like it, and it's within their affordability range, and that's fine. Everybody, you do you. I just know what I don't like in my garden. All right, so I'm trying to do this without pricking myself. Let's see how far down that will sit. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle, I put this to catch it. I'm going to sprinkle some of the rooting hormone on the base here. Now there's some very tiny, let me see if I can get it to show, roots, little hairs of roots on this. Probably should remove this tag. And this one is like choking it. On it, and I've done this before. I even have a video of saving a plant that's a few years old of another plant. It was one of my Olivia Austins, I think. Austin roses. Olivia Rose, Austin Rose. And the gophers had done the exact same thing, and it re-rooted. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to add more soil. I'm going to dump this out. Now, while we're doing this, I had a viewer comment on my last one. I already was doing this video to kind of, as I said, I did one correction on the dyed mulches, things I learned. And it was about the brushwood nursery clematis that I got. And I thought there was the slug eggs in it. Well, someone pointed out that that could have been slow release fertilizer. Mostly, I usually see those as colored, not the clear. And then I was corrected that they could be clear. And then another commenter said that I had done Brushwood Nurseries a disservice by saying that the slug eggs were in the soil, and that I should correct that video. Go in and YouTube won't let you edit. That's why I had added a comment on there about I could be wrong. That could be very well be the slow release fertilizer like Osmocote or whatever. Now, I don't know that it really was a disservice to Brushwood Nursery, because you know what? I'm still going to buy from them. Getting slug eggs in a container is not the end of the world. People think certain garden bugs are, what do you mean? The end of the world. They're demonized. Well, the slugs, they serve a purpose in your garden. We do not, it's only when they become overabundant that they cause a problem. They are necessary for decomposing, or I should say they eat decomposing plant material. They also will eat your plants, etc. If they're the tender kind, like hostas in certain areas. I do not have an overabundance of slugs. I will get a few eaten on my hostas or whatever, but we also live in a drier climate. They are really, I'd say, heavy in the spring because it is moister. But the rest of the time, I don't have that big of an issue. As far as with Brushwood Nurseries, Now that pot, oh, I just knocked over my compost. That pot, underneath of it, I did have a few slugs arrive. Was it from that soil? I have no idea. Number one, what I did with the pot, I showed you how you could deal with it. If you found slug eggs in any of your containers, you just wash the roots off, or you eliminate as much of the soil as you can. And there was a lesson in that. Now, as far as it being slow release fertilizer, I don't necessarily want that in my garden because it's covered with polymers. Polymers are plastics. That is why I don't use slow release fertilizers like Osmocote, etc., even in my containers, because there's enough plastics in the world. I don't need to be adding it to my organic garden. Whether it's in a container or whatever, I'm going to get rid of it. So there's that as well. So I already have another clematis. I have on a wait list, and it's called Supernova from Brushwood, because I love Brushwood's products. They have been phenomenal, and I'm not worried if I get something in the soil that I don't like. So do I feel like I did them a disservice? No. Will I correct myself if I find out I'm wrong? Yes. So it could very well have been that slow release fertilizer, or I could have had some slug eggs in there too. So there is that. As I said, not the end of the world. You're going to bring home different things on plants sometimes and just deal with it. Now, like roly-polies, a lot of people will say the pill bugs, roly-polies, they are not harmful in your garden. That is wrong. I've had more seedlings being chowed down by roly-polies than I ever have from slugs. So just be aware of that. So here, this is all potted up. Anyways, what I was going to say is I think it's good to know how to treat or deal with things you may face when you buy a product either online, in a nursery, or whatever, and I'm going to share that with you. So I was reading some information on how others like to reduce the population of slugs. Reducing the population is better than eradicating. You don't want to eradicate them. Anyways, so this one thing I found interesting that I made a notation of is this one gal recommended you could do the beer traps. I have done the beer traps. They do work. The slugs will crawl in there. They'll drown in the beer. They're attracted to it. Someone else would use sourdough starter, and they would liquefy it a little more, add water, and that fermentation is kind of like the beer. And so they would also, that would attract them, it said, even more than the beer. And they said that cheap beer, like Bitter Beer Face or whatever those cheap beers, that was a commercial, I can't remember what it was for. Those work the best as far as attracting slugs. So don't give them a high-priced beer. But this one gal said she sprays her weeds with the beer, and the slugs eat the weeds, doing the job for you. So I don't know if that's true, but it's worth a shot, right? And another one was, and this was on Gardener's World, and they did a test. I could not find the link to the actual episode, but sprinkling bran, like bran you buy if you want to eat, increase your fiber. The bran, you do a circle around your plant. You don't have it touch your plant, but like a fence, a little circle of the bran. And as these slugs crawl across it, it desiccates them. And then that, helps to reduce the population. And another one was seaweed meal. I have never found or tried seaweed meal. Have you? As far as anything, it's also good for the soil, the seaweed meal. So you could do the same little fence, little line of the seaweed meal around a plant to help protect your plants from slugs. If you suffer from an excess of the slugs and they're eating things you want. I mean, I saw a picture of somebody's poor cabbage and it was just decimated by slugs. And of course, if you're growing cabbage to eat, you don't want your slugs eating it. But these were really good ones. Now, some people will say eggshells. Eggshells have never worked for me. Some say coffee grounds, that they don't like the coffee grounds. I don't know that. I have gotten coffee grounds from a local coffee shop and used them as mulch because I like the color. They are best used in your compost bin, but I have used them as mulch, a very thin layer. They will not acidify your soil. And so far, I don't know that they've helped with slugs. But like I said, I don't have a problem with excess slugs. So really, who am I to say? Okay, so now that I've got this all potted up, so I just wanted to make sure I pop that in there. And like I said, I do already have another video ordered from Brushwood Nurseries. Already have another clematis. And it is Supernova. And I love it because the last time I had it, and it was in a container with a rose. I do not know why it died back. That rose was a test d'Iberville, and I had dug it up this year to transplant it out of the barrel it was in with that clematis. The clematis died last year, and I've meant to replace it ever since because it bloomed all summer long. It bloomed and bloomed and bloomed, and it was gorgeous, and I loved it. So I wanted another one once it died. Now, the rose, when I went to dig it up, had gall on it. So it could have been the gall in there in that soil that killed the clematis, and I just didn't know it until I dug up that rose and found it. I was devastated. Gall is nasty. You don't want it in your garden at all. You especially don't want it on your roses. There's no treatment for it that I have found. And so I had to just dig up that rose and throw it away. Now my other test d'Iberville on the other side of the sidewalk, I had dug it up, and when I did, there was a piece that broke off. Now these are own root roses, and it had roots. So I just potted it up. I have it in here, so I can put it where I wanted to put the one that had gall. The one that had gall got burned. So there's that. That was the second rose I have found in my garden that had gall. I feel I got it from some dahlias. I had dahlias that got gall or had gall, and the soil became contaminated, so I cannot put dahlias in that area. I have roses that are in pots in that area and the roots have gone down, but I have no evidence of gall on those. Gall can live in the soil for several years, so that's why I will not put dahlias in that area for years. But also, when I learned that when you cut back your dahlias that have gall and then you go trim your roses, you can transfer it. I didn't know that at the time, and it's called crown gall. And so that could very well have happened. Could have been how those two roses. I had an Princess Alexandra of Kent, David Austin rose that succumbed to gall. Or when I dug it up, I went to transplant it into the ground and saw it had gall. So I had to throw it away, burn it. Yeah, so anyways, the Supernova mystery, it maybe have been the gall that killed it. I was looking up all the different plants that gall can harm, and there's a lot of them. And I had one viewer recommend pouring boiling water, because I left the soil and the barrel alone. I didn't know what to do with it because that could be contaminated with the bacteria as well. One viewer had said to pour boiling water in there. That may be a ticket as far as doing that. Pour boiling water in it several times and maybe I could replant in it. I don't know. We'll see. I need to maybe put a sacrificial plant in there, like a rose that I did from a cutting that I don't care about, if it lives or dies, and see if it develops gall. And then I'll know whether or not that container has been cleansed of it. So that is that on pruning, potting up this rose here so that I can recover from the gopher attack and all of that. I think I did all of my updates. I showed you the seedlings I started in the half Dakota peat enhancer with the soil and half not, and how the ones that have the Dakota peat are doing so much better. So yes, I'm going to continue using that, especially for seed starting. I showed you the gomphrena, how far it's come, and I think it's loving the heat we've been getting in the greenhouse so far, because they seem to be really just ramping up as far as recovering very quickly from the transplanting. And what else? Other corrections I made. So I think I handled everything. If not, I'll have to come and add another piece to this video. And I want to show you something that I have from that I got my last visit to the nursery, and I couldn't pass them up, and they have been a constant joy in this greenhouse. Look at these. These are the double primroses. Isn't these gorgeous? Now, or aren't these gorgeous? This one is Ulled series. Now the leaves are starting to look a little crispy because it's gotten very hot in here the last couple of days. And this next few days is supposed to be really hot. So, yep, it's moist in there. So that's good, but I probably should take them out and put them on my back deck to enjoy them out there because it gets so hot in here. Now primroses don't like it hot. They will go dormant for me in the heat of summer, and then they come back, they bloom again or start coming out of it come fall when it starts to get cool, and many times they will bloom in the winter if we don't have snow cover. In fact, the snow just melted back over top of a blue one in my garden, and it's just beautiful and started blooming. Of course, we have warmed up the last few days. All right. So that, my friends, is how I save a rose and how I treat for slugs and all of that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of a ramble, but I was trying to deal with different things that have been asked or brought up. And I just love talking to you guys about the garden. So I will see you in my next video. And yeah, we'll talk about some other things. I do have a glass painting video I'm trying to get ready for my painting site, and I just haven't had time to work on it. And so, yeah, I will tell you about that in the next video when I get it up and ready to view, because some of you might want to figure out how to paint California poppies and, what is it, lupins on glasses. So that's what it is. Turned out really pretty. So I'll talk to you later.